Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, the name's Ophelia. I give advices on self-development, mental health, building yourself, upgrading your life, etc. And today I want to share that I am a moderately high sensation seeking, highly sensitive person. If you don't know what that means, it basically means that a highly sensitive person is basically a person whose nervous system is more sensitive than the average population. Only 20% of the people are highly sensitive. And also, I want you guys to understand that sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's more like if you get overwhelmed easily because you intake too much, so you get stressed easily. But at the same time, the good part is you learn more from your everyday circumstances than a normal person, which in itself is very, very important. See, HSPs or highly sensitive people, their inhibiting system or something that stops them or prevents them from doing things is stronger because they're just so sensitive and they just know so much. On the other hand, high sensation seeker, their exhibiting system is stronger, which means that, as the word says, sensation seeking. They like to experience new things. But it isn't only about doing crazy things, trying new sports, skydiving, etc. No. High sensation seeking has like four aspects, which is thriller and adventure seeking, which you're associating it with. The second is novel experiences. Third is boredom susceptibility, because if you like to explore and want new things, you will obviously get bored very, very easily. And fourth is disinhibition, or basically the tendency to, get addicted to substances. Okay. So, what does it mean to have both in one person? You'd say that it's simply not possible in one person, but it actually is. And yeah, I am one of those. I'm an HSP HSS, highly sensitive person, high sensation seeker. I'm actually moderately high sensation seeking and a highly sensitive, which means my sensitivity is more than my sensation seeking tendencies, but in itself, having that complex mix of things is very hard to balance in life. And sometimes you just come to a point where you feel like, I wish I was just normal. Because think about it, you would have a lot of mood swings, especially if you are an HSP or an HSS HSP. I really want to I want to first of all validate your experience. I want to say you're so strong. Genuinely, I live it every day, so I know how hard it is and how valuable you are. So congratulations, you're doing great. We have a lot of mood swings, we have conflicting desires. Finding balance in ourselves is very difficult. um, and an HSP alone faces so many problems, and HSS alone might have his or her own problems. Actually, I know more about HSPs than HSS because I haven't really studied about them as much, but I am. Okay, so having both of them in one person is very complex, but in that too, I found some beauty. And I think even if you are not a highly sensitive person or a high sensation seeker, but just somebody who feels like they are different, like there's no term to define this, or if you feel like you do not fit in, I would recommend you this video. It's a fantasy which has a reality aspect to it as well. If you're a bit delusional, like there's no scientific backup for it, but I really believe that this is true. Okay, getting to the idea. Okay, so I like to think that God is creating a piece of art. Okay, so whatever you make, if you are like a very creative sort of person, HSPs are highly creative, but a creative mind also needs a lot of things to do because you get bored easily if you're creative, if you think too much outside the box. HSS tendencies do not help with that. But because I'm a highly creative person, I like to think this way. So if you're an artist, if you're like a video editor, whatever, basically something you like to make that is new. Okay, something new. So whatever it is, consider it that sort of piece of art. Okay, you write articles, whatever. So I'm thinking that God is making is trying his best to make a piece of art, and that piece of art is none other than a perfect human. Perfect, because even God knows there's no perfect. Okay, I like to think of it this way. Please do not take it like feminism, whatever. Okay, please, no, not my intention. So the first piece of art that God created is a man. Okay, so he noticed that the thing with men was they were able to handle practical aspects very well, but a man would typically only realize, typically, I'm not generalizing, okay? Typically, we have to take things in a more generalized manner, okay? But I do not mean to offend anyone, please. So the man would only realize in his 40s or 50s perhaps that what life was really about. And he would often come to a point where he was like, I wasted my 20s. He realizes the importance of self-awareness, knowing oneself, meditation, recognizing patterns in life, helping others, only at the ages of like 40, 50. But by that time, the man had already built his career, his relationships, and basically the vital things he had done, right? And now he had only a few years left to live. And so God thought, after a lot of time, that okay, that is not helping. That is not helping, because he was very pleased with men's progress, but he noticed that the main thing, the crux of life, they had not grasped that until a very long time. So he decided to make a separate piece of art, not exactly influenced by this piece of art or anything. He just wanted to try something new. So the next who came up were females. Females, God realized, after a long time, of course, were more sensitive. And he realized that females had a different sort of potential, but the societal ideal was based more on a male ideal. So females were suppressed. But God thought that things would eventually figure out, because both males and females, although they had to play a part together, but they were separate. And God wanted them to understand that, right? But sadly, the ideals did not change very soon. And God was upset. And he wanted to create a piece of art that would genuinely help. So he got down to thinking, what was my original problem with males? The problem with males was that they grasped the core, the essence of life very late, the deep things. So he thought, what if I give someone the ability to intake more from the environment than an average person? To intake more would mean to realize things quickly. And that is what we call sensitivity. But God did not even realize, while making so many highly sensitive women, that if they intake more from the environment, they would not fit into this world. And that could also take them to the absolute extreme side of the spectrum. He did not realize that. And he realized that also females were still being suppressed. And it did not help. So he thought, how about I try to make a highly sensitive man? But guess what? Men felt even more isolated because they were not supposed to be sensitive. That was the female's job. God had always made females more sensitive. So why were suddenly men more sensitive? And God saw the problems of sensitive people, overly sensitive people, and he also saw the problem of the conventional people. And then he decided to work from a new angle, because he was just tired of things going wrong over and over and over again. So he just took a random aspect. One day it just struck him that highly sensitive people, because they're so overstimulated, they typically don't want to get out to see things in the first place. And he had also started seeing sensitivity as a problem these days. So he said, okay, what if instead of taking in more stimuli than the average person, I give, because although they take in more stimuli, if they do not see those many things, then wouldn't it, not be using their full potential? Kind of. I'm not blaming anyone here, whatever, please. I'm not targeting anyone. Okay, so God basically realized that. And then God thought, what about I try to make someone who's very eager to explore all the things in life? And then he came up with sensation seekers. And he initially started making males, because with males he noticed the high sensation seeking norm would be more supported. And then he also noticed the con of high sensation seeking, because he realized that if you do not perceive things very deeply and you only do things for the thrill, the temporary satisfaction that it gives you, it would not be good. So in that way, sensitivity was the only solution, he realized. But so he thought, okay, females are more sensitive in general. How about I try to add a female aspect to this sensation seeking trait? Then he made high sensation seeking women. And that also did not work out as he had thought it would, because the sensitivity got suppressed in high sensation seeking women, because sensitivity was not a part of the norm. So no woman wanted to disclose that side. Actually, she took it as an excuse to run from that side. So he ultimately thought, what about I try to fit both these traits in one person? That it's also working out in some way. It's a current experiment God is doing. That is what I like to think. So this can sound kind of silly to some people, kind of weird, but that is to simply make you realize you're not here for no reason. You are here with a purpose. All of you have a purpose. Okay? Like, think about it. What are the chances of you being born in this generation, in this very timeline, in this very house, watching this very video, being in that very country, that very region, that very continent, whatever? What are the chances of you being alive as a human? You guys, I don't know why you people think that you just dropped and you just have to blend in with society for the sake of it, and you just have to keep doing things for the sake of it. Why do you guys think like that? Why do some of you think like that? You're here for a reason. You've forgotten your power. God made you keeping a very specific purpose in mind, each of you. I was just talking about the trait, because I cannot talk about what specific purpose he gave to you, because that is very subjective to me, that is very subjective to you. So I cannot talk about that. So I took a trait, and that too can seem highly subjective to some people. And I only took the people of high sensation seeking and highly sensitive people. But we can also take into examples, say, dyslexics. See, the thing with dyslexics is, I read about it somewhere, is that they see the big picture both literally and metaphorically. So with highly sensitive people, a thing I've realized is, if it's just highly sensitive people or if it's just me, I'm not very sure, but I think it should be highly sensitive people in general, and women even in general. There are two ways of thinking. See, I read about it. In psychology, there's analytical thinking, there's intuitive thinking. Intuitive thinking is more of big picture thinking. So basically, you do not intake the details, you only see the big picture, and you try to understand things in that big picture, then you try to understand another thing in that big picture, and then when you connect it, that is an intuitive sort of learning. Men have a more analytical learning style. None of the two is, better, quote unquote, than the other. It is just how we do things, okay? So an analytical learning style is better because not better, but it's good because it is detail oriented, it's in the word itself. You can get to specifics with that sort of a learning style. But in an intuitive thinking, you can merge different disciplines better, you can understand, you can integrate things better, because compartmentalizing things is just not how it works. The reason highly sensitive people can understand those things about life so quickly is because they can form patterns in different things very quickly. So we can also say that an intuitive learning is learning in the opposite way, basically, to the male way, right? We see first the big picture, then we go to the details. Males, they see the details and then they get to the big picture. There can be exceptions, please, I'm not generalizing, okay? But ultimately, in the analytical thinking style, what happens is, if they take details of every single area, then it is only after a lot of years that they start getting the essence together, which is the reason a lot of people start gaining awareness in their 40s or their 50s. With females, or with more sensitive people in general, we have that advantage that if we see things in one discipline, we can take an overall pattern from just that one discipline and we can apply it in different fields of thought. But to apply it in those different fields of thought, it also requires like a lot of work, which means you may take time. You may take time. You may take time in itself is such a big problem in life these days. Let's say the education system, you will have problems immediately, like remembering things, catching up. That in itself can really tear down your self-esteem, etc., right? So if we see in dyslexics, they also have this tendency of intaking the big picture, and so that's why they are not able to read words very properly. Like they're not exactly able to read because they are seeing in words to read. If say the word is meta, META, so they're not exactly able to comprehend each single detail. They're seeing it from a very holistic sort of perspective. So metaphorically, it was very good, but that only comes on later in life. When a child is born and a child is not able to read words, that child is not exactly able to cope up with the academic system, and people start taking that child as a liability. So even dyslexics were born with a reason. There was nothing flawed with them. It was just different. And perhaps it was from the idea of dyslexics that God got the idea that let me give somebody a more holistic perspective, and perhaps from them we came into existence, the highly sensitive. Just that we don't do that literally as well. We only do it metaphorically, figuratively. So if you think there is something wrong with you, no. There's nothing inherently wrong with you in your core. You don't need fixing. You just need to understand yourself. That will take time, that will take work, that will not be easy, but it will be the best investment you ever make, I promise. Understand that everybody is a package deal, that everybody has pros and cons. Just some of them fit more in the society than the others, and that's the issue. But see, even if I'm having this fantasy and I'm giving this example of like God doing this sort of thing, then even he is not able to create a perfect masterpiece, right? So you guys are also not perfect. You're also we are all like a package deal, okay? So if you think you can't fit into this world, it's because you're here to make a better one. I read this quote in the book of Judith Orloff and it really resonated with me. I really felt good from inside, and I wish it helps somebody else too. I will say it again. If you feel you do not fit into this world, it's because you're here to make a better one. Just be patient. Just wait. Just keep trying. That's it. Just keep learning. Another interesting thing that I realized was, okay, so now a lot of you may or may not agree with me on this, but basically I'm also a self-development influencer, right? So I've noticed that the ultimate goal of self-development is balance, okay? Balance inside yourself, and then balancing that balance with the outside circumstances, the world. So attaining that balance is very difficult in itself. First of all, you need to find out what side of the spectrum you lie on. Like if there's like a spectrum of traits, this is the middle point. This is selfish, this is selfless. So a person who is selfless by default, like intrinsically, the internally who they are is like more selfless, then they need to learn how to be more selfish. On the other hand, if a person is more selfish, like internally, nothing is bad, okay? Being selfless is not better than being selfish. No, please, no. Okay, so if a person is selfish, he needs to learn how to be selfless, right? So to understand what side of the spectrum you lie on and what you need to hear, and then on the other hand, to find a perfect balance of both those things, which is different for every single person. Balance is different for every single person. That is a very difficult job, and it comes after years and years and years. But it's definitely worth it. If you're in that balanced state of mind, you can manifest, you can do things. It is happiness. Balance is happiness, real happiness, okay? So I made a very interesting observation, and that was the more specialities, the more gifts. Sensitivity is a gift. High sensation seeking is a gift. Being dyslexic is a gift, according to this video, because you all were made with a purpose, with a special purpose, okay? So I've realized the more, if God takes away something in one area of one's life, they also give in another. It's almost like they have an unfair advantage in one area and an unfair disadvantage in another. So it's all like, end of the day, God makes sure that, okay, if I've taken this away, you will get this, you know. But I think the further that you are like special in some way, that the harder it is for you to achieve that balance. Like you have more, to be honest, for example, highly sensitive people have a better nervous system to understand and comprehend these things about spirituality. You have better tools basically, but it will be harder for you to find that balance, especially because in the society they will tell you the opposite things of what you need to hear. And a person who does not have the tools, who has no knowledge about this, it will be easier for them to find the balance. So that is the irony. So I think all of us have a role to play. And if anybody here has read The Highly Sensitive Person, well, if you are an HSP watching this, I'm pretty sure you must have read that book. Then remember that paragraph about the author saying that we are like advisors. Yeah, that is exactly what I'm talking about. We need to get these things across to the people who don't have the tools but can achieve this balance, but can, you know, take more practical steps than us. We are the think tank, okay? They are the ones who do the things. We are the ones who think of the plan, okay? So we are the ones who tell them about this, and they're the ones who will execute it and make the world a better place. So all of us have a role to play. The world also needs listeners, not just speakers. The world needs both extroverts and introverts. So please stop thinking in terms of this is better, this is worse. It's not like that. The world needs everyone. Accept yourself, work on yourself, try to find that balance in yourself, Do not be hard on yourself. Love yourself, appreciate yourself. And yeah, before you know it, things will fall into place. Things will work out for you. It will get better. If you are actually focused on learning and becoming a better person, it will get better. You just need to try. Okay, you just need to try. If I can do it, you can do it 10x better, I promise. Okay guys, so that brings me to the end of the video. I hope this made you feel a bit optimistic, a bit differently maybe about things. Let me know in the comments what you really think of this idea. Like, I do not want haters, okay? I do not want haters saying, oh, this is not scientifically backed up, whatever. I told you at the starting, it is not scientifically backed up. So you should have left then, okay? But if this has helped you in any way, if this has kind of like shaped your thinking, do let me know your opinion on it. It's something that really helps me. And yeah, I hope it can help somebody else too. So I put it out there. And yeah, like, subscribe, follow my Instagram, my live journal, etc. if these advices help you. Thank you. Bye bye.